Hey everybody, hope you guys are all healthy and safe. So this is the Doogee X95. Now this stands out from the usual pack of smartphones I cover because this phone officially retails for $70 US. But right now Doogee is selling it for $10 off, so $60 US. So you can get a fully functional smartphone for $60. Now obviously compromises have to be made, so the specs on this are very entry level. So there's only 2 gigs of RAM in this thing with 16 gigs of internal storage. The chipset is a MediaTek 6737. It's one of the most entry level chips possible, and generally whatever you do on this phone, expect it to be a little bit slower than any other phone I've covered. So let's jump into it. If you open Chrome, for example, you see it took like a beat before it loaded. Let's type a website, Nick's Gadget Up. So this is my own personal website, by the way. If you're interested, go check it out. I have a lot of written reviews on it. So see, it loads a little bit slow, and Chrome is already one of the lighter apps. If you open YouTube, you have to wait like 2.5, 3 seconds. It's still loading actually before stuff loads for now. So you do have a speaker down at the bottom. Like it's reasonably loud.
So I can say this. Go back in history.
Now you do have a headphone jack here, which is good news. And charging, unfortunately, is done via micro USB. Although at this price point, maybe micro USB makes a lot of sense. And it connects to a 4,350 mAh battery. That's a huge battery for a device with, basic specs like this, with an LCD panel, 720p resolution, 6.5 inches. And obviously refresh rate is 60 Hz, so battery life should be able to last all day. Now, supposedly you have a triple camera system here. That's what Doogee's advertising, but I would say no. The other 2 cameras are basically fake. There's only really one camera here. It's a 13 megapixel camera, but the camera is actually, it's okay. If you keep completely still and you have good sunlight, you can get serviceable images like right here. But if you are even remotely moving, you're gonna get blurry shots because the shutter speed on this is really slow. And the selfie camera, it's a 5 megapixel selfie camera, and it's pretty terrible. It's not even the fact that it's low res, but it feels like the lens is dirty. Let me see if it is dirty. It feels like it's dirty. It feels like there's a plastic sheet covering it. Look at how grainy the camera looks. And that's how it looks all the time. It always looks like I'm in a city with a lot of fog right now when I take selfies. And also the shutter speed, it's really slow too. Oh, you can shoot video with this phone, and they're not bad for $60. There's no stabilization whatsoever to speak of. The audio is very muted, but you are able to get moving images, moving videos. Because there's only 16 gigs of RAM, so this is not a full version of Android running. This is Android Go. Google developed Android Go to basically help budget smartphones operate fine with very little storage and RAM. So there's 16 gigs of storage, but out of the box, the whole entire software with all the system apps only takes up about 4 gigs of RAM. Now you see it says 7.4 here because I've installed several games, but before I installed all that, out of the box it only uses about 4 gigs of RAM. That's a benefit of Android Go, because if you run a full-size Android, usually it takes up about 6 or 7 gigs of RAM, and when you only have 16 gigs of RAM to play with, you need as much storage space as possible. You can use a micro SD card, so that will help you bump up storage if you need, and there's also dual SIM capabilities, but you have to choose. So either run 2 SIM or 1 SIM, 1 micro SD card. So one gripe I have with this software is there is no gesture navigation. You have to use 3 buttons, traditional Android layout, but the buttons are set so that the back button's on the right, like how Samsung used to do it, and there's no way to flip this. I'm just not a fan. I am of the belief that the back button should be on the left. That's how logic has always worked. Like if you look on the keyboard, the escape keys on the left side, everything going back is left because naturally our brain moves from left to right. Surprisingly, gaming on this is okay. So I ran Modern Combat 5 on this, which is one of the most graphically intensive games. And as you can see, graphics are very, very low res. It's like the most low res version of graphics I've ever seen for this game, but it runs actually relatively smoothly at 24 frames per second. Even when I dialed it up to 30 frames per second, it is still running okay. So this phone can handle Modern Combat 5. I think it can handle any game, but just expect whatever graphics to be lower to the baseline level. Okay, so obviously the Doogee X95, it's a very, very low power phone, and for someone like me, and for most of you watching, I suspect the degree to which this is under power will be unbearable. Like, you have to wait 3 seconds for Instagram to load. When you tap on a YouTube video, you have to wait another 5 seconds before it begins playing. That's unacceptable to me and probably you, but this phone is not for me, people like me. I'm privileged. I live in a first world city, and I have a job that's a professional job, so I get paid okay amount. Like, I have disposable income. This phone is instead for people who are less privileged than me. Maybe someone who lives in Africa, maybe like a farmer who works in rural Thailand, southern Thailand, or in Philippines or something. For those people, they might not have $200 to spend on a Realme phone. So for them, they have to buy as cheap as possible. And $60 for a fully functional smartphone, I think it's pretty admirable, because you have to remember, we call these things smartphones, but what they are portable computers. So for somebody to pay $60, they can send emails, they can go on Facebook, keep in touch with their family or friends. They can, read articles online, get the news, go on Twitter. I think that's very invaluable for $60 to give you access to all of that. So ultimately, there's definitely a market for this phone, and I admire Doogee for putting out something that, less fortunate people can take advantage of, because a couple of years ago, those people would not be able to get a smartphone. They would have to use a dumb phone. If they want to go on the internet, they might have to go to an internet cafe and pay money to do that. Now they can do that on a portable device. So this is the Doogee X95. It sells officially for $70. Right now it sells for $60. Oh, I do want to add though, this is only for people who really, really are on a budget and can't spend more than like $100. Because if you can go over 100, then I would say might as well spend 120, 150 and get a Redmi phone or a Realme device, because those phones are going to be much better than this for another $60, $70. But again, there are people to which they can't spend the extra $60, $70, then this is it. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you like. I have a lot more content coming up. Stay healthy, stay safe, and please wear a mask when you step out. Thanks for watching.